If you've watched anything about Social Security online, then you probably have heard this advice at some point. Just wait until age 70 to start claiming your benefit, because that's how you're going to maximize the amount of dollars you receive. And while that sounds simple, and sometimes it actually does play out to be true, delaying Social Security is not automatically always the right move for everybody. And that's very important. Because when you delay, you're not just increasing a future check. You're making a conscious decision on how much risk you want your portfolio to take on today in exchange for a guaranteed income source later on. In the last video in our Social Security series, we talked about when claiming early actually makes sense. So if you haven't watched that one yet, make sure to click that video right there and watch it. Today, we're going to look at the other side of this decision, delaying Social Security, and when waiting genuinely improves your outcome versus when it quietly introduces a whole nother set of risks that you have to account for. This really is not a checklist. My goal is to help you understand the levers involved in this process so you can recognize when delaying makes sense and why it needs to be coordinated carefully within your larger financial game plan. I'm Jacob Euler, co-owner of Grand Summit Wealth Management. I work with high-income individuals, families, and business owners, and I've helped over 100 different clients transition to retirement while coordinating decisions like Social Security with broader financial aspects for them like taxes, portfolio income, and long-term financial planning. This channel is called 1% Wealth Secrets because, frankly, the goal is not shortcuts, and I'm not going to be providing any. It's awareness so that you can understand the strategies and trade-offs that show up at a higher level of wealth where decisions tend to be interconnected, not just simple one-off decisions. So let's start with the basic mechanic and play we're going to be talking about. For anyone born 1960 or later, full retirement age is going to be 67% per year up until age 70. Once you reach 70, you're not going to get any extra benefits by waiting, so that's a hard cap on the increases at that point. Doesn't matter even if you waited until 90 to take it. So for example, if a household Social Security benefit at full retirement age would be around $4,000 per month, delaying until age 70 would increase that to roughly $4,900 a month. That's nearly an additional $12,000 per year in additional guaranteed income. So, of course, on paper, you're thinking, well, that sounds like a clear win, right? Why would I not just delay a couple years and then get a whole bunch more down the line for waiting for that time? But the trade-off, the other side of that, that's something a lot of people gloss over, especially those that always shout to the heavens, take it, wait until 70 no matter what. And that is, by delaying Social Security, you have to replace that income from some other source in the meantime. And unless you're planning on working until age 70, then for a lot of people, that means that extra money is going to have to come directly from your portfolio with larger withdrawals in those first few years. So let's walk through an example to make this a little clearer. Imagine a household like yourself that needs about $180,000 per year to maintain your lifestyle. That's what you've been living on while you're working, and you want to maintain that during your retirement. You have a $3.2 million portfolio, and your expected Social Security would be roughly $55,000 per year combined if both spouses wait until full retirement age to start claiming. Now, if both spouses delay the benefit until age 70, that's roughly 3 additional years where your portfolio needs to cover a larger share of spending. That can mean an additional $50,000 to $60,000 per year coming in withdrawals during the early retirement window. And of course, adding that up, doing the math over 3 years, that's almost $160,000 extra coming from the portfolio, which ends up being a meaningful risk transfer. You're transferring the risk from the later retirement years to the beginning. So why does this sometimes work very well? That's going to be because delaying actually increases your guaranteed income later, which is going to reduce reliance on portfolio withdrawals in advanced age, and also importantly, is going to improve survivor income for the lower earning spouse. So what does that mean? Because it becomes more and more difficult to add other income sources or to reevaluate and make changes the older you get, taking more of the guaranteed income later is often a choice people prefer because they know they're going to have it later on if they need more at that time versus trying to figure out what to do at that point when they can just navigate a little bit more cleanly in the near future. So, in this example, if the higher earning spouse delays and passes away first, their surviving spouse is going to step into the larger of those two benefits. That can mean tens of thousands of extra dollars per year in additional guaranteed income during what is normally considered the most vulnerable phase of retirement, also called the no go years. As you get older, as your health may be declining at that point, and it's more difficult to be able to be flexible and navigate both in your daily life, but also your financial life at that time. But here's the thing, the other side of that, for the people who are always telling everyone to wait until 70 no matter what, is delaying is not going to be risk-free either. And the reason for that is, if the market struggles early in the first few years of your retirement, or your withdrawals are higher than you expected during that, let's say unexpected repairs or medical costs come up right when you retire, something that wasn't necessarily planned, delaying Social Security can amplify sequence of return risk, which increases your chance of running out of money in the long term. And if you want to learn more about what sequence of return risk is and why it's super crucial, we'll definitely make a video about that in the future. So really the contrast by delaying is you're asking your portfolio to do more work early when it's more vulnerable because it hasn't had the time to grow, and those early changes are going to impact you in the long term. So in reality, delaying Social Security is often going to work best for those who have portfolio withdrawals that are going to be modest relative to their overall assets. They're going to have some flexibility in spending. Your taxes are being managed intentionally, and the household can tolerate some short-term volatility. Same lever, different outcomes. But if this doesn't sound like your situation, then it may not be the right choice for you. That's where your individual game plan comes into play. Now, another variable that many people overlook in this is going to be taxes, and that is because delaying Social Security can create some opportunity in early retirement years around Roth conversions and managing taxable income, converting it to after-tax or tax-free income before your required minimum distributions begin at age 73. But again, this is going to require coordination within a larger plan, not just coincidence and not just guess and check. So really, I think the key takeaway is simple. Delaying Social Security is not about getting the biggest check. It's about deciding when to shift income responsibility from your portfolio to the guaranteed inflation-adjusted income Social Security provides, and understanding how does that timing affect risk over a full retirement timeline, and how do your individual factors impact that. On paper, delaying often looks superior, but in reality, it's going to depend on all these different factors: your health, your portfolio size, whether your withdrawal needs, taxes, and individual household dynamics. And that's why this decision is usually modeled, not prescribed. So for many of the families and business owners we work with at Grand Summit Wealth Management, delaying Social Security is evaluated as part of a broader income strategy, not as a standalone one-time optimization. So if you're watching this and thinking, I hadn't thought about delaying in terms of risk, I've just thought about in terms of dollars coming in, that's usually a sign this decision deserves a little bit more attention for you. So if you're approaching retirement, or you're already there and you want help evaluating how this decision fits into your overall plan, you can schedule a financial consultation using the link below, and we can help you out with that. There's no obligation there, just a simple conversation to determine if some guidance would add value to your situation. So in the next video, we'll shift from when to how. How does Social Security interact with taxes, and why does tax planning often determine how much of your benefit you actually keep? So we'll make sure to see you in that one. And if you haven't watched the rest of our Social Security series, make sure to click the playlist and check that out.